Welcome in to the PHNX Suns pregame show brought to you by our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and turn on notifications so that you know every time we are live. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Lindsey Smith, and today I'm joined by Gerald Bourguet. And Gerald, it's like deja vu. We've got the Suns and the Jazz all over again. What is happening?
Yes, and we were just like the Phoenix Suns. We were almost at full strength, and now we're left with half our team. I don't know what's going on here. It's just you and
Dude,
me on the
for real
pregame.
though, it was like, what happened? Also, just want to note, thanks to our Cove Crazy Josh, who gave us all of our show stats. Gerald, when you and I do a pregame show, we are 0-1 this season. So that's not a good look for tonight's game. But also, I think that if the Suns do end up losing this one, we absolutely can blame Saul and Espo for this because it's their fault. Like,
Yes,
you know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean. Like, as if the abandonment issues weren't bad enough, now we just get left in the cold for the pregame
Right?
show.
Exactly. But Manuel in the chat said, Lindsey and Gerald, damn, I feel like I'm at a friend's house when their parents are away.
I feel like we would be the parents of the show, but that's cool that he wants to hang out with the cool kids while the parents are away. I appreciate that.
That's so funny. But yeah, so it is the Suns and the Jazz once again. And this time things are going to look a little bit different, though. It's almost like these teams just kind of like flip-flopped, right? So on Sunday night, the Jazz basically had no one. And then, obviously the Suns still were dealing with some injuries, but then they had to add on another one yesterday. And now it feels like the Suns basically have no one. They only have, actually, hold on. Before we get into that, we'll get into injuries in just a minute. But the Suns are on a 7-game win streak right now. Hopefully tonight they can make it 8 straight. And the Jazz, they're going to be looking to snap a 5-game losing streak against the Suns tonight. So the Suns have grabbed all 5 of their last games. So the Jazz probably have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder heading into this one, just knowing what happened on Sunday, plus how close they kind of were to getting back into that one. And stealing a W away from the Suns. So I think it might be a little bit of a tougher matchup than Sundays. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you look at the guys that the Jazz had out in the last game, they're starting Trent Forrest, they're playing Jared Butler, significant minutes. And if you are wondering, these are not creative player names, these are actual NBA players on the Utah Jazz. And they actually balled out, so credit to them. But yeah, the Jazz are getting Mike Conley back tonight, Bojan Bogdanovic, excuse me, and Joe Ingles as well. The Suns are going to be missing JaVale McGee in addition to Jay Crowder, campaign.
Well, let's just throw up that graphic. Yeah. There you
Yeah,
go.
we might as well. Sorry.
No, you're good. Keep going.
Spoiler alert for the injury report. We're missing Ayton, Crowder, Payne, McGee. The Jazz are missing their 2 best players, to be fair, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. That's unfortunate for the Jazz. It's unfortunate that their 2 best players don't like each other as well, but we're not going to get into that. Yeah, the Suns are in a tough spot. They do have their 2 best players in Chris Paul and Devin Booker, which might balance things out. But we did see the Jazz, some of their role players really step up in that last game and make it a little bit more competitive than a lot of us were expecting. Also, shout out, I saw this in the chat a few minutes ago, shout out to Damien, who is watching from the UK. Thank you for watching, Damien. We appreciate you.
What time is it over there? Message us in the chat. I want to know what time it is.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how things shake out in tonight's game. Because like I said, they only have 9 players suiting up, which I think you have to have, a minimum of 8 guys per the league rules now. So we're barely skirting the line there. I do want to ask you a couple questions. So first and foremost, JaVale, did Monty share at all kind of what was going on there? Because I don't recall anything specific from Sunday's game that made me think, oh, shoot, is JaVale going to be out for any amount of time?
Yeah, so that was kind of strange. And I actually asked Monty about this on the pregame show or the pregame presser that he did. And he said that it was just something that kind of flared up in the last game. And, JaVale wanted to go, but it didn't sound like they actually took him with the team on this trip. So it just seems like something that kind of came out of nowhere, flared up, and they're erring on the side of caution in this case, which is smart because, you look at the schedule right now, the Jazz are getting guys back. The Suns are on this 7-game win streak, trying to push it to 8. It's not a big deal if they lose this game. Obviously, they want to win games. Chris Paul has said, like, we want to make sure we have the best record so that Monty is the head coach for the All-Star game. Like, we want to get Monty and this coaching staff into the All-Star game. But, like, they're 3 games ahead of the Warriors. They're going to get the job done. It's not a big deal if they lose this game. They obviously want to win it. But, like, JaVale, Monty, lots of guys on the Suns have said it's better that we have these injuries now than we have them, right before the playoffs or in the playoffs. So the Suns, I think, especially coming off that finals run, are much more cognizant of the fact that we need these guys healthy at the right time of year. It's not a big deal if we miss them tonight. So they're erring on the side of caution. And same thing with DeAndre Ayton. He is still considered day-to-day. I think Gambo.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do have a question about that because he was doubtful on Sunday on the injury report when the team first sent it out. But then this time around, he was just out. There wasn't even a possibility. And typically you go from out to doubtful to probable and so on. But to go from out to doubtful back to out isn't exactly the best sign.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting thing. I think it might be because of the travel factor. I think that they ruled him out because he was just going to stay behind and continue to rehab on it. That would be my guess, but I don't know for sure. I don't know if he actually went to Utah with the team or not. I would guess he stayed behind and rehabbed, and that would be my assumption. But I see Saul is trying to form an alliance, office style.
Oh my gosh. Let me read you these comments, Gerald. They're going to be so funny. So Saul pops in and he's like, no, you're looking at the parents, Manuel, meaning me and you. Then Espo chimes in and he's like, I will not stand for this Espo and Bookman slander. They are the best part of the show. And then Manuel, shout out to you, man. He's got our back. He's like, LOL, Saul, you and Espo are the dysfunctional parents while Lindsey and Gerald are the functional kids who act like the parents and beat the odds and go to Harvard at the end of the movie. Like, if that was not the most perfect response and clapback, I don't know what is. That was absolutely amazing.
Saul and Espo, stay together for the kids.
Shane, can we kick people out of the chat? How do we do that? We need that.
How do we ban people?
Apparently we can't.
How do we ban people from the chat? Not any of our Cove crazies, just Saul and just Espo. That's all.
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. You know what I do find really funny though? I feel like at least 80% of the time when one of us are not on the show, whether we're on vacation or just taking a night off or whatever it may be, we're still in the chat. And it's like, yo, what's the point of taking off if you're still going to be in the chat? Like, you're supposed to be on vacation or you're supposed to have some time for yourself. Get out of here. You know what I mean?
You are literally the only person that's taken a vacation and not engaged in the chat.
I did a couple times though.
Did you really?
Yeah, there were a couple times that I was able to pop in. Mine was like also I had to have Wi-Fi to be able to join because I didn't want to use all of my minutes.
Oh, yeah. I want to use all that data. No,
exactly.
I remember. Oh, that's funny.
Okay. So anyway, you were saying that Gambo had mentioned something before I interrupted you.
Oh, yeah. So I think he had said that he would be surprised if DeAndre Ayton wasn't back by Sunday's game. Obviously, the Suns play again on Friday, so he might miss one more game, but then he should be back. My guess was Friday. This is just a guess, not informed by anything related to the team or sources, but yeah, he should be back within the next game or two. So that's a good sign because, it's good that the Suns have a guy like Bismack Biyombo that they can rely on, but that's for a regular season game that's missing Rudy Gobert, not necessarily what you want to see moving forward.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Bismack, we're going to probably see him in the starting lineup tonight. And with that, I also would guess that we would see some Jalen Smith minutes. I know that's been a topic of conversation over the last few games that DeAndre Ayton has been out. We still haven't seen anything from Sticks. And so we've all been kind of speculating, is this because they're trying to keep him healthy, or is this just, Monty feels like he's better suited with some other guys. Do you think we're going to probably see some Sticks minutes tonight?
I definitely do. And I think it's going to be at his true spot. Shout out to Saul in the comments right now, but it's at his true spot at the 5. And I think this is good for the Suns because I don't think they've been holding him out because he's injured or because, they're trying to hold him back or anything. But I do think you look at the way the minutes have shaken out, it is telling that in the last couple of games with Jay Crowder out, Cam Johnson starting at the 4, that Jalen Smith has not gotten minutes at that 4 spot. Like they've given them to Ish Wainwright. So if you're giving those minutes to Ish Wainwright, it means you clearly don't think the Jalen Smith at the 4 minutes have gone well. He's definitely better suited as a 5 on this particular team. And with both DeAndre Ayton and JaVale McGee out, you're going to get him at the 5 in backup minutes tonight. And if he's not playing tonight at the backup 5, then I think that the Suns have agreed to a trade of some sort and they are keeping him on the bench so that he doesn't get hurt. Right. That is the only possible explanation for him not getting minutes tonight because they are shorthanded at center. And I don't think that him not starting is a sign that like they don't believe in him. I just think that's how good Bismack has been. So I think you start Biyombo, and then I think if Jalen Smith is not playing backup center minutes, then maybe the Suns they have something going down.
Then we can speculate more in the post-game show. I did look at the Suns Twitter right now. Bismack is starting officially, so we know that's going to happen. Espo did say he was texting us before the show, even though he wasn't able to come on, and he was like, let the people know they got to take Bismack for the first Field Goals Club, and he is in the chat right now. So Espo said he's at plus 900, but then man, I'm going to call UK because I don't know how to pronounce your name, said that they got it at plus 1,100. So that must mean maybe K went a little bit early. So those odds are kind of going down. So maybe if you're interested in taking a little gamble there on Bismack, you should probably do that sooner rather than later. But Espo is all in on Bismack getting that first field goal tonight. If you guys choose to take that bet, of course, we wish you the best of luck and let us know in the post-game show if you did or not and how much cash you won from that. Would you take Bismack tonight, Gerald?
Yes. Let's get down to business. Get him the bucket right from the start.
Dude, that meme, if you haven't seen that meme on Twitter, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. That was a solid one.
So there were the two. There was the one from Mulan. There was the let's get down to business to assist the Suns. Yep. And it's like just a picture of all of the people with their little sticks. And it's got like Suns faces all over them. And then there was the Kendrick Lamar one that broke me yesterday.
Yeah. I forgot about that one. That one was perfect.
If not for copyright, we probably would have played it here. But it's Kendrick Lamar, and he's surrounded by all these faces, and they all have Bismack Biyombo over their face. And it's just like different faces of him like smiling or like nodding. And it's to the humble. It's so good. If you haven't seen it, go to my Twitter feed. It is so hilarious.
Oh my gosh. I love how Espo, Saul, and Manuel are still all fighting in the comments about who on the show is the parents and the old men and whatnot. Y'all are hilarious.
I think this just
Jersey and Lindold.
Jersey
How
and
would you
Lindold.
Pronounce that?
Lindold.
So you got to come up with better names. Ones that we can actually pronounce.
Can we just appreciate the image that Saul has on his YouTube comment? Because look at that hairdo.
He looks
that's dapper, my dude.
Yeah, like super like professional. Yeah, he looks like he even might have a tie on in that. I don't think I've ever seen Saul wear a suit and tie.
It's like a Men's Warehouse catalog. It's looking real smooth there, Saul.
All right, let's take a look at what our friends over at the DraftKings Sportsbook app think about tonight's game. I believe a 1-point favorite for the Phoenix Suns, which is a big difference from Sunday because Sunday they were 11.5. I think a lot of it, that's a pretty drastic difference over these two games. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with the fact that the Jazz got 3 of their starters back for this one. And then The Suns obviously added JaVale to that injury report. I think that's probably the biggest one. Also, home court advantage probably plays into that a little bit. But with that, let's see what our picks are for tonight's game. So I'm in agreement with Vegas. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I've got the Suns by 2. Espo has the Suns by 1. Gerald, you've got them by 4. Saul has them by 20.
Is there a significance to the 20? Is that like when we do the other team by like 99 or whatever, and there's a secret meaning behind it, or is that just his actual pick?
No, that was his actual pick. I had something cooked up, and then he texted me right before the show, or he sent that right before the show. I had something about chicken fried steak, but
wait, tell us.
No.
Yes.
Oh, he just dipped out.
What a tease! How rude!
Oh no.
Yeah, so Saul thinks this is going to be a big one. He said Sticks dropping 40 tonight, and that's why he thinks they're going to win by 20.
Is Gerald, it at the 4 or the 5, Saul? Answer me true.
What made you choose? What did you choose? 1? 4.
I did
Espo
4.
Was 1. You were 4.
Yeah, I did 4. I still think the Suns are the better team. I think they are aware that on Monday night, they, it's not like they weren't trying hard, but I think Book said it best. They got comfortable after the really strong first quarter that they had. They got a big lead and they just kind of, coasted a little bit. And we've seen it from this team before. And they did what they've done so many times where they coast for 2 to 3 quarters. And then in the final 6 or 7 minutes, they just completely dominate. They decide to lock in and they blow it open to a double-digit lead. I think against a team that has, 3 of its top 5 or 6 guys back tonight, they're going to be a little more diligent. They just get up for the big games, and this isn't a big game. You can't call it a big game when the Jazz are missing Mitchell and Gobert, but at the same time, like, they recognize that this
bigger than Sunday.
Yeah, bigger than the last time, at least. I think they recognize this team poses a little bit of a threat, even without those guys coming back. With those guys coming back, I think they'll be a little locked in. So I've got them covering the spread tonight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game, just a little bit closer. But I do see the Suns getting the W tonight. It would really surprise me if they didn't. I know Utah, not to discredit them by any means, they're a solid team, but I just feel like the Suns are the better team. Like, they should be winning these games. And like you said, especially after the way that they kind of were a little bit flatter, I guess you could say, on Sunday, it would be nice to see them turn that around and be like, okay, we had our game and our moment of just like, we didn't have it all there. Let's bounce back into Suns basketball that we're used to and the expectations that have been set now. So Sunders Dunks has Suns by 5. Damian's got him by 5. Fabio has Suns by 45. Albert says Sticks is getting 20 and 10 with 2 blocks. Fabio says Sticks is going to get 30 points and 15 assists. Saul said if Sticks drops 40, I'll call him a 5. A lot of big predictions and thoughts here. Right. This is a lot.
I officially need Jalen Smith to drop 40 tonight. And I do need to address the chat because someone asked about the other side. This side. Yeah. The creepy shadow behind me. It's not a ghost. It's not a demon. It's just a light that hangs in the kitchen that is casting a shadow behind me. That's what you're seeing. So we're not haunted here. Don't worry, guys.
Brittany brings up a really good point in the chat too. So she said, every time Shane gets on the screen, we win. Does that cancel out the losing streak of Lindsey and Gerald shows?
I would hope so, because we're only on a 1-game losing streak. I would hope we can cancel that out, because suddenly we win 1 game, we're back to 500, and that's pretty solid. I think
all I know is if the Suns drop this one, we're gonna have to. The next time Espo and Saul are both out, we're gonna have to bring in a guest or something. We cannot have this be like a continual thing, the two of us. Like, it just, I'm not comfortable being on a losing side of things anymore. Like, I've been there, done that. That is in the past. Like, we cover a winning team now, so we got to have winning stats for you and I, Gerald. So Oh, that's all
Yes.
I'm going to say here.
Got to bring on guests. Maybe we could have Ben Oops on the show,
Hey, watch out.
Oh, man.
All
Apparently,
right.
he's blocking Suns fans on Twitter now because they got
Oh,
pissed about all the stupid shit he was posting on there. So,
yeah. I mean,
re-
that's kind of
re-
how it goes. I feel like you say something dumb on the internet, and then when people get mad at you for saying said dumb thing, you just resort to blocking. I feel like that's kind of like the circle of the internet.
repercussions can be rough. I don't know.
Especially when you're messing with Suns Twitter and Devin Booker specifically.
Well,
Because
and
Suns
it's
Twitter has had Devin Booker's back since day one. Like I remember talking about that 3 years ago, just how insane it is if somebody slanders Devin, how Suns Twitter will immediately like go to war
oh yeah,
with that
oh
person.
yeah. They got their pitchfork sharpened. They got their torches lit. They're ready to go to war anytime Devin Booker comes up. And Jazz fans are not in a great place right now. There's all the Karl Malone stuff, and then John Stockton comes out and says some dumb shit. So it's kind of like they're just not happy right now. So it is what it is.
Well, hopefully we don't give them any reason to be any more happy. We don't create a silver lining for them in tonight's game. I'm going to be real mean and we're just going to pile on that
Yes.
sadness train and hand them an L and move on with our lives and say good luck. We'll see you guys next time.
Yes.
That's my plan for this one. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope Chris Paul doesn't have to play as many minutes as he has recently. He is on a pretty good streak of his own. He's got 4 straight games with a double-double. So it would be nice to see him grab 5 tonight because that would be a really long streak. I think the longest double-double streak since maybe like 2015 or 16, I believe.
Okay.
I don't have that. Well, I'll have it before in the post-game show if he does hit that mark. But yeah, anything else before we let the people go get ready for the game?
No, I just think Suns versus Jazz is always fun, even when a lot of the top players on both teams are out. And my one thing because tomorrow is when the All-Star selections are announced. I don't think DeAndre Ayton is going to get in just because of the amount of games that he's missed. But I think we should appreciate this Suns team every second that we have them. And I think we should appreciate both Devin Booker and Chris Paul, because over the last few weeks, we've seen people waffle between, Devin Booker should be an MVP candidate. If he keeps the hot streak going, he should be an all-star starter, to Chris Paul as an MVP candidate. He's a no-brainer all-star. I think if you watch this team and just how good the both of them are, and maybe not always at the same time, but just the way that they pick up the slack for the other one when maybe one of them isn't having the best game, or the way that they just are able to take over games. The other night, they combined for 60. Devin Booker was incredible through the first 3 quarters, and then the fourth, he missed all 8 of his shots, and Chris Paul went off. I think we need to appreciate that this is the best backcourt in the NBA, and the way that they're able to dominate games in such different ways, like we don't often get to see things like this. So enjoy watching this backcourt play as long as you can, because this season is very special.
Yeah, everything has to come to an end. So just live in the moment as much as you can and enjoy what we have been given and what that team has earned. Because it was some dark times, and thankfully we are out of it. So, just lean into it a little bit. Lean into it, Yes. All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be right back here after the game wraps up, of course, as always. So be sure to pencil that into your schedule. I know it's going to be a little bit of a late one, but hopefully it'll be a good one, and we'll be hanging out in the VIP lounge. Until then, you can follow the show on Twitter at PHNX_Suns. You can follow me at Lindsey Smith AZ, and you can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourguet. Gerald, do you want to do an Espo ahoy hoy?
Yeah, just remember, if you're a Jazz fan, keep your mouth shut. Ahoy hoy.